Hello, hello, and welcome to the Midday Show. I'm your host, Kyle Janis. Every episode, we're talking with amazing thought leaders, doers, and makers in the world of webinars right here in the studio. Then after, stick around for the live Q&A with our special guest immediately following the show. Send us your comments and questions anytime during the show, and stay tuned to get all your answers live. My guest today is literally on the forefront, leading the evolution of new webinar tools. An amazing webinar is more than just the user experience. I'm talking about the registration process and how they interact with pre-show content, a video forward player with a wealth of engagement options to the on-demand content hub inspired by the most popular streaming services. And if you hadn't picked up on it by now, yeah, Brandlive does all that and more. Equally important to an amazing webinar, though, is the show itself. Like Sarah said in our last episode, telling our story in the most compelling way possible. And for that, I'm so excited to say it's finally time that we talk about the second half of the dynamic duo of Brandlive tools designed to empower webinar heroes, Greenroom, the show builder software that is changing the webinar game across the globe. And there's no one I could think to better introduce Greenroom than the person responsible for its ever-expanding utility and usefulness to webinar heroes everywhere. Greenroom Product Director, Eli Ackerman. Eli, welcome to the Midday Show.
Kyle, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Really appreciate you joining us and really excited to get into it today. But before we dive in to what you're doing at Brandlive, Greenroom isn't the first product development that you've led. From your LinkedIn, I'm curious to learn about this previous product you co-founded, Tutor Tree. What was the inspiration for that, and how was that experience building a product from the ground up?
The gist of it was a mobile application to help people connect with tutors. Connecting with an old college tutor of mine who really was excited about the idea, who was working at the university and leading the math library. I was like the one understanding the need of the student and the tutoring needs, and then he was the one on the tutor side who's like, hey, this is really hard to connect with students as a tutor.
Yeah, it feels like you've got kind of two users here, and both of you bringing the perspective of each of those respective needs.
Exactly, yeah, and it was really an Uber for tutors. Once we kind of realized that there was a need here and a lot of tutors run their own businesses themselves, we realized we had a thing and ended up recruiting a technical co-founder who also really liked the idea, and that was kind of our team.
That's incredible. What was it like then? So you've got the team, but then to go through the process of building and readying for launch, like, can you just speak a bit about that journey?
Yeah, sure. It was definitely a learning process, and we got accepted into an accelerator program, which really formalized our journey as a company and made it real. So in Eugene, Oregon, we went through the RAIN Accelerator program, which was like a 16-week program, connected us with tons of investors in the Portland area. It helped us basically get a free MBA in how to start a company and kind of gave us all those resources we needed.
Okay, already was impressed with you. Even further, that's just wow. But so after leading your own company in the ed tech space, how did you pivot into webinar software development?
When a company's forming a product team and they're bringing brand new products to market, it's a really specific type of product role. It requires experience wearing many different hats and not being afraid to roll up your sleeves and do everything yourself. And those traits are usually only developed if you're working at an extremely small team. A lot of folks coming from product at a bigger organization have a lot of support infrastructure and networks there, and there's a lot of experience at Brandlive with what video production's doing today, what the needs are and whatnot, but They wanted to bring someone in that was coming with a lens outside of the video production sphere to look at things through a new lens.
Through a new lens, video production? Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Totally get it, and being able to offer that outside perspective, as an expert, I think you can get so into it that things that just make sense and feel natural aren't for folks who don't get it. So I totally get the value of having that perspective. Greenroom is only just a few years old. As you said, you got pulled on to kind of help build this, but it has been groundbreaking in changing how webinars are produced. At what point did you jump in on its development?
It was early on in the pandemic. And so when I came on, Thomas was a one-man band running product. And with this massive influx of business, there was clear need for a helping hand. I would say after about 6 months, circling back to your question here, after 6 months, it was clear that I was coming on full time and Greenroom was coming to market as an MVP, and we needed someone fully focused on bringing that to market, bringing it to the first customers, and driving there. So Thomas asked me to solely focus on Greenroom.
So this has kind of been your baby from the beginning.
When I joined, it was kind of like this idea. It was being used a little bit internally. It was under development. And then, I got the keys to kind of bring that to customers and keep evolving it over the past, 5 years or so.
That's just amazing to learn. Can you speak to some of the intention behind the creation of Greenroom? Like what was the initial vision and inspiration there?
Brandlive had been around for quite some time before Greenroom. Unlike many other software companies in the space, Brandlive had the privilege of working really closely with an in-house production arm. And so we were a lot closer to the complexities and struggles that went along with that process. Whereas everyone else is kind of building software from a distance, I'll say. And video production is really hard. And it takes a lot of people, a lot of expensive equipment to make it look great. So first and foremost, Greenroom was created to simplify that process. How could we turn a tangle of cables, computers, switchboards into a singular laptop interface, which is extremely ambitious. And we knew that eventually we could accomplish that and make TV-style content accessible to everyone.
Thank you. Mission accomplished. It's an amazing tool. But what about Greenroom uniquely stands out from the other webinar production tools out there? Like what is the secret sauce that's made it so revolutionary in the webinar world?
Oh man, where do I start? So when Greenroom was first brought to market, it was the first tool bringing remote feeds together into an elevated video format. Before Greenroom, you would need a room full of computers to make that happen. And many products followed suit in our kind of, let's consolidate this down into a singular laptop. And then we introduced the showboard. And a lot of webinar tools, or all of them for that matter, were relying on lots of clicking, lots of real-time adjustments, and editing to make your webinar look good. You might have a separate document, here's your run of show, here's what you're working through, and then a lot of manual real-time adjustments. And the showboard would allow you to build out your entire show ahead of time, and so that when you're actually live in the moment, you can focus on everything else that's going on in this live moment.
I can't have Greenroom's product manager on the Midday show without getting a chance to look at this amazing tool. So Eli, I understand you've got some visuals to share. By all means, take it away.
Yeah, sure. Let's dive in. Let's throw some visuals to go along. So first we'll start with plan the show. That's step one.
Yeah.
got to plan your show. And I wish I could include all of the features here, but I tried to keep it concise, just show us a few kind of key components in each section so you can kind of get an idea of how where we can help you
little
out with this.
appetizer. I'm into it.
Yeah. So the first piece here is Show Builder. There's 3 distinct modes in Greenroom: the show building mode, the recording mode, and the streaming mode. So show build is your way to collaborate with others and quickly build out your show board. And there's a whole nuance within this mode here that is just tailored towards the editing and the storytelling that you're going to be doing. So that's planning the show. The next step, once you have your show planned, is to create the content. A big piece of creating the content is the ability to record within Greenroom. So best shows, pre-recorded content is going to be in your live show. It's not really avoidable, and it's adds some variety. It lets you create some more elevated production that couldn't be done live. We have an isolated recording feature, which basically it gives you access to all of the different possible camera shots that happen during the recording, so that for editing purposes, you can move those around so that you get the exact camera angle and take that you want on show day. Trimming, staying all within the platform, record it, trim it up, throw it in your show board. On live day, all you have to do is advance through your shot, and everything is pre-configured.
And the ability to capture it and edit it, plug it into this narrative arc inherently built in is so convenient.
Transitioning onto the iOS app, the best camera that most folks own is in their pocket. So we've developed a native iOS app that integrates with Greenroom to help you get high quality shots with anyone from around the globe. If you want to get away from that really boring webcam at a desk style look, the iOS app is just another tool in your toolkit to bring folks, actually live or recorded, into your show looking their best. Now the last component is Stream It Live. This is the big moment. This is the most difficult part, can be the most stressful part, is doing everything live. Because if you haven't done this before, we try to give you the tool set that can make it easy. And if you have done this before, we're here to make it easier for you. So one major feature we have here is scheduled streaming. So it can be used a few different ways. Some folks are pre-recording their whole thing. You just schedule that stream, build your show board as you'd like, streams out live. Maybe you've got multiple audiences around the globe, and you want to have a 9 a.m. Pacific showing that's actually live, and then as soon as the show finishes, folks are tuning in other continents, and so you can roll that again. And the last way that you use this is a mix of pre-record and live. So a format we've been seeing a lot of clients using is, hey, let's pre-record an hour of show material, stream that out live, but then let's join for a 10-minute Q&A at the end and have that be live. And other products in the market with scheduling features, generally you're uploading a singular large file and then streaming that out, and you don't have the flexibility of making last-minute edits. You don't have the flexibility of seeing the structure of the show, and you don't have the flexibility of moving between live and pre-recorded.
Reason number 72 why I love Greenroom, but I'm gushing. Please continue.
All right, we'll keep moving. Timers and cues. This is most helpful in a live component. In live production, there's a lot of queuing. There's a lot of keeping track of who's up next. Greenroom tries to do as much of that show calling for you. And you can assign durations in your shot. And basically, keep everyone involved in the loop on how much time is left for a certain segment, when they're going to be up, and displaying that UI within the interface. The last feature or feature set I'll talk about is the presenter tools. So Greenroom is designed to be used without screen sharing. So all of our slide tools are directly managed within the product. So you upload your slide decks directly. Everything is broadcasted out in 1080p. Anyone can advance the slide deck. So there's no more, hey, next slide. Everyone has the clicker within the interface and can keep them on track.
Eli, I do have you on the Midday show. Are there any fun teasers of what's coming up in Greenroom that you might be able to share with us?
Sure. I might have one more slide prepped. I didn't know if I was gonna show this or not, but you're forcing my hand here. We have an upcoming feature that has been in development for a very long time, and it's called Style Packs. And if you've ever watched any of the Brandlive content, we have really awesome graphics, and we have a really awesome team at Brandlive that is creating them not only for our own Brandlive productions, but for many of our clients.
Just when you're saying graphics, what does that all entail?
Sure. So many shows will have walk-up cards that introduce speakers and get you familiar with who's going to be in the show. Along with that are title cards, which lay over top of the video feed. I'm guessing there are some title cards.
We might have a couple of those here at the Midday show.
in this episode. There's also segment cards, which help you break apart your show and introduce new topics that are going to be discussed. There's tons of different use cases for graphics, but those are kind of the big three that are easy to talk about and easy for anyone to integrate directly into their next webinar.
With Style Packs, it's no longer something I'm designing in an auxiliary tool or anything. This is happening in Greenroom?
Exactly, yeah. And in Greenroom, we're going to have a host of Brandlive Studios created graphics that are all directly editable in Greenroom. And everyone with access to Greenroom will be able to jump in and use these right away. And we're going to just keep rolling out new styles so that the library stays fresh and that there's always cool new graphics to try out. So if you're creating webinars around the clock, you'll always have new stuff to try out.
Greenroom making it easier than ever to up-level the webinar experience. Well, Eli, this is just incredible, and I cannot thank you enough for coming into the studio, sharing with us not only just a lot about what Greenroom has to offer and the variety of feature functions, but also to get some backstory in its intention, its origin story, as well as some backstory on its premier product manager and how you also kind of come into this role. So all to say, gushing aside, thank you so much for joining us on the Midday Show.
Of course, glad to be here.
Before I let you go, we ask all of our guests to take the hot seat. 5 rapid fire questions. You down?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, coming at you. Question number 1. I happen to know personally that you are quite the proficient mountain climber. What is it about climbing that is so compelling to you?
Oof. I really like to climb. I guess one component of it is the kind of flow state it puts me into. The focus required when you're climbing is so high that it kind of forces me to completely reset mentally and tune in, and it's kind of a form of like meditation or relaxation for me.
I totally get that, especially working very closely with you on the product team, and just knowing how chaotic those days can be, and being able to just tune out, focus, and I get that, and I think that's really well put. Breaking the script a little bit, but I know that you're a climber, but can we both agree that the free climber who tackled Mount Capitan in Yosemite without ropes is just straight up bananas?
Yeah, Alex Honnold is definitely very out there and doing some wild stuff. I will not be climbing without ropes anytime soon. So yeah.
I would miss you, so I appreciate that. Continuing on my tangent, you're outdoorsy, and not just in the climbing world, but you recently did a solo backwoods dirt bike trip through the Cascade National Forest. What was that adventure like?
Whoa. Okay. That adventure was something different and unique that I hadn't done before. I have been riding motorcycles for a while, but hadn't done a ton of dirt motorcycle riding, dirt biking, and 2 had been wanting to do a multi-day journey with kind of getting out and going, but it was a learning experience. I learned a lot on how to, one, it's really hard to pack all of your stuff onto a motorcycle when you're camping and you need your water and your food and your house. I also learned that no matter what time of year it is in the Pacific Northwest, you always have to have a rain jacket. It got really wet on that trip. And I also learned how to fix my motorcycle in the field.
Pivoting in the moment. Thank you for that. I am ever impressed with your sense of adventure, from rocks to surfing to motorcycling. Just incredibly fascinating. Question 4. What is the title of your next webinar series that would have audiences binging all the way through?
I think it would have to be something along the lines of technology and software ideas to enhance outdoor adventure.
Ooh.
We might need to shorten it a little bit.
Yeah, we can workshop, but combining tech with nature, that feels like such a disparate kind of 2 worlds. That would probably be a really cool show. Well, count me in. I am here to binge. So, last question, and we ask this one of every guest. If you could rebrand webinars, what would be the new IT name that we're calling them?
That's a good question. You know, I think webinar is this relic of the content we're making being, it almost gives it a pass to be something different than the content we're watching at home on Netflix or whatever other streaming services we're on. So I would think we would just get rid of the name entirely, and it would be it would just be a live series or a live piece of content. And it would kind of just follow the same naming structures that exist elsewhere. So a movie or TV or a documentary or an informational episode. It just like why does the web matter, you know?
I love that, and like it becomes so ingrained in our just process and natural communication mode that it no longer needs a name. It is just how we communicate.
Yeah, I'm thinking if Brandlive's mission is to bring TV to work, why can't we just use the same language that they're using for TV.
Two worlds become one. Yeah. Eli, incredible. You survived the hot seat, and thank you so much. Also, thank you for joining us on the Midday Show, and thank all of you out there for watching. Please stick around. We'll be coming up in the live Q&A with my special guest, Eli Ackerman, right after this. Hey, Eli. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for such a fun show.
Of course, excited to be on the show. I was happy to chat a little bit about what we're working on and the history and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I did not do a good job of hiding it. I'm clearly a big fan of Greenroom, and so I've been really looking forward to getting you on the show and really going into just all of the amazing things that Greenroom enables webinar producers and creators to do. So I thought it was just a really great, and I thought you did an amazing job kind of just covering so much in a condensed, just short little conversation with me. So thank you for that.
Of course, yeah, glad to contribute. What's on the docket here?
Okay, so yeah, I want to get into the Q&A. I do got to real quick acknowledge though, you are looking mighty what's your setup? What are you rocking here in the green room?
So I'm just up against a concrete wall here in the office. I'm using the Greenroom iOS app on a little tripod, and weirdly enough, it is sunny in Portland, Oregon, so all the lighting is natural. Just got some big windows behind me.
I love it. Brandlive using Brandlive to deliver Brandlive content. Man, that is what we're all about. All right. Well, we could chat about Brandlive all the time, but we've got some great questions that came in. And I'm seeing this one. This one I'm told is for me. Kyle, did you just get back from a safari or what? Okay, who let that one in? No, I just really like that shirt. Thank you very much. Whoever, I will find out who asked that. But let's move on. Okay, we did get some serious questions, so let's move into them. Thank you, Grace. Grace asks, how do the green room showboard shots work?
Oh, good question. So in Greenroom, you can add as many shots as you want, and shots can work a few different ways. You can either have a singular shot be an entire segment. So in this segment here, where there's just two of us in a shot with one layout with two boxes, and each shot can have a different set of media, a different set of live feeds, presenters, different graphics can be on the screen, and you can control the visual customization. So and once you sequence them in a row, you can either play them automatically or you can advance through them manually. But yeah, each shot can be a variation. You can do different little visual effects, or they can be totally different pieces of content.
Yeah, well, I mean, I gotta say that the shot by shot, just the mind frame of building a show in that way has been so instrumental in elevating just my storytelling and I think the narrative arc of a show. It's one of my favorite green room features. Just by just its nature of how it facilitates that story, but also I think being able to create dynamic, just more variety in your show. You know, you can do different layouts and whatnot, or like for the midday, we've got one shot as the pre-recorded interview, and then we've got the fun segment cards, and then the live, and like being able to really kind of see how that structures and flows. The showboard, I think, is just, I don't know, to me, clearly, big fan. But these questions are for you. So let's keep them going with the next one from Manuel, who asks, does recording in Greenroom just mean being able to record the broadcast?
That's a good question. So recording works a couple different ways. Anytime you go live and have a live show, we're going to automatically record that, because who doesn't want a copy of their live stream? So we always do that, and that's automatic. Then the second piece of recording functionality is designed to be used ahead of your show to create recorded content that you're going to weave in with your live content. So I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, but most great live webinars are combining live and pre-recorded content. So it's important to do all of your recording in Greenroom ahead of time, and then you can go ahead and put those recordings in your shots. So there's two kind of different recording functionalities, and the piece that we think is noteworthy and special and different in Greenroom is how you record ahead of time before your live show day.
Absolutely. The like, as you were saying, that combo of adding that live in the moment there, that energy, but on also being able to capture those pre-recorded segments and pieces, maybe someone who can't make it for the live show but has an important message to deliver, being able to do that right in Greenroom, and then you can plug that content right into one of the shots in that show board. I love that. And actually, we got another question that I think really pairs well with this that came from Wayne. Is trimming for editing the presentation afterwards, or and that's all that just or. So can you clarify a bit more about how trimming then ties in?
Sure, yeah. So we're not holding you hostage to any exact workflow, but we have a recommended kind of way we think about the tool being used. So you come into Greenroom, you record a particular segment that you're going to feature, and after you review it, maybe you do a few different takes. Maybe you're both sitting there for 5 minutes. You go, oh, is it going? Okay, cool. Or you kind of have a flub and you don't want to keep starting and stopping this recording. You can do a longer record session, preview it, trim it down to the exact piece of content you want in a shot. If there's a few pieces of content within a singular record, you can trim out multiple sections. So if we were trimming up this Q&A, for example, and maybe 3 of the questions we want to include and 2 of them we don't, could trim out and put maybe 3 different shots, question 1, question 2, question 3. And then, you could just stream that out as so. But trimming after the fact is also a really common use case, because in a live show, it's really common. You might have some type of hold graphic at the top while people are getting ready, maybe a countdown, and then a thanks for joining slide at the end or something, which isn't really something you need for pre-recorded content. When we do live content at Brandlive, right, we want it to feel evergreen and not feel old or stale. So when you trim out some of those live specific pieces, it helps the viewer feel oh, this isn't this live outdated thing that went live last week. This is still relevant content. I missed it live, but it's still as relevant as ever in the on-demand state.
I totally get that. Why would you have a countdown like we use for the midday when we're live? Why would you have a countdown when it's just an on-demand content? I want to click, I want to play, and content begins. So being able to trim that after the fact. But also, I love that there's just an editor built into Greenroom for some of those pre-recorded things that I can plug into my show. I can make sure that I'm getting just the right message without the mix-up or the delayed intro. And so it's a tight, pre-captured bit that I plug into my show board. I think that clarity was really well offered. We got 2 more that I really want to hit before we run out of time. Ron says, what do you mean that you can edit the show when it's live?
Oh, that's a great question. So most streaming platforms that allow you to stream out a fully recorded piece of content only really give you one option, or maybe 2 options. You choose a video file and you set that time. And then that's it. The video file rolls. There's nothing to interact with. Whereas in Greenroom, the entire Greenroom editing experience is available while the show is live. So each shot is being sent out live, and as long as that shot hasn't gone out to the audience, you can edit it. So think of it kind of like a robo producer, right? So the green room is producing for you. You're just telling it what you want it to do at that time. So while it's live, you can go ahead and edit those shots after the fact. I hope it's kind of a complex topic to just talk about without visualizing, but hope that helps.
I think certainly using Green Room, it makes sense. But, when you're building your show shot by shot by shot by shot, when you're then live, Green Room is on this shot and this shot's doing its thing and whatnot. But maybe a speaker couldn't make it and I've got to readjust the layout. Instead of a 3-up, it's now just a 2-up in my panel or whatever. So whatever's not currently being broadcast, I still can tweak, modify, and adjust in the moment, as opposed to if, I have this other tool and I need to just here's this whole video chunk that I'm uploading, which is my show. I can't jump in and fix that video because it's now just playing start to finish. So shout out to Shot by Shot. I think we're at at least 5 just in the last 5 minutes. So Shot by Shot, take your shot. Okay. All right. One more question before the bad puns keep going. Sophie asks, what level of customization will be available with the new graphics? And I think she's talking about style packs.
Sure. Yeah. So style packs is extremely customizable. The animations, the visual effects, everything about that has been perfected by BLS. So can't edit any of those items, but the copy and the colors. So if you have brand guidelines or you're trying to match a theme, all of those colors can be edited. You can bring hexes with you. We also have color palettes for each style pack that have been curated. So if you're trying to come up with a theme and you want to use the same style week over week, there's going to be different color options available. And whatever copy you bring to the table, whether it's names, segment cards, various speaker names, all of that can be customized.
So I love that, it's a library of different style, but then I find the look and feel, and I'm adding that to my show, but then to align it to whatever show theme or my brand package, not only, as you're saying, edit the text, but changing some of the colors to really align it so that it best fits the intention I've got for the show. And just shout out to what you'd mentioned in the interview, that library is something that will ever be growing with new, fresh designs, always coming at, webinar producers at whatever regular cadence you guys are able to, the masters at BLS, right?
Exactly, yeah. So a lot of clients have worked with BLS to create their own style packs. So we're hoping to have client-specific packs in there as well. But yeah, the entire library will continue to grow. We're going to release with a bunch of really cool packs, but hopefully over the course of the following year, we'll keep rolling out new and exciting packs so that clients that get excited for the feature but are doing tons of webinars don't have to have stale designs over and over. They always have something new.
Brandlive always keeping it fresh, so I love that. And love the entire conversation today, Eli. Wrapping it up, just because I know we both got a work day ahead of us, and thank you for taking a pause out of your day, both just for a great interview, but also for the follow-up Q&A. Thank you again, Eli. Really appreciate it. And to everyone out there, thanks again for watching. We so appreciate having you part of the Midday Show crowd. Coming up next on February 11th, join us when we invite Brandlive product designer Macarena Costa to help some of those less creatively inclined with some great design tips. But for now, thanks again, Eli, and thanks everyone for watching. Take care and be well.
Later.